The left has shown us who and what they are: violent, dishonest, and decidedly anti-American. Their extremism has gotten more violent, more militant over the last 2 decades. In my opinion, the reason is because they've suffered no consequences for their actions from those who claim to be on the political right: Republicans. After Kirk assassination, Americans look for answers. That's my focus in today's preamble. Showing the positive side of AI, powerful images were created online to expose the plight of Americans. This image was tweeted out by me and Ted Cruz and other conservative luminaries. It depicts Charlie Kirk consoling Irina Zarutska, the young woman brutally killed on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, a left-wing city. North Carolina's GOP congressional delegation is calling for the removal of a magistrate, Judge Teresa Stokes, who released Carlos Brown, the accused killer and career criminal, with cashless bail. To my knowledge, the GOP actions are nothing more than rhetoric, as has been the case with myriad left-wing judges who have also been responsible for releasing criminals who, in turn, take innocent American lives. As has been the case with the GOP yelling loudly about open borders, yet doing nothing to stop millions of illegal alien criminals from coming into America during the 4 years of President Otto Penn. Now it seems the GOP majority in Congress just can't seem to bring itself to be a vital check on a rogue and deadly judiciary, and Americans are dying. The biased press continues to run cover for leftists, suggesting that Charlie Kirk somehow deserved his assassination by virtue of the fact that he disagreed with left-wing extremists and wouldn't surrender to their politically correct language designed to obfuscate and prevent solutions to problems caused by Democrats.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Speaking of this tragedy, is this a moment for your party to reflect on political violence? Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the masses?
Yes, there is violent extremism on both sides. It is not proportionate. And in order to have an honest conversation about what led to this moment, that has to focus in part on the left.
I'm glad you mentioned that it's not unique to one side or one party. Charlie Kirk was not a saint. He said 2 years ago, it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so we can have the Second Amendment.
Apparently, Howard Kurtz there, one of the stars of the Karl Rove Never Trump Network, he can't grasp the American ideal that Charlie Kirk was articulating. It's what happens when uninformed people read only left-wing headlines that often obscure truth. Kirk was simply pointing out that freedom has its benefits and risks. With freedom, there is a risk that someone might abuse that freedom. The American solution has never been to abolish freedom, but to rather punish the abuser. It's mind-boggling how the Karl Rove Never Trump Network's personalities are trying to make a moral equivalence between Kirk's American-based comments and the left's political violence. So what's the way forward? Though I don't know where she found the strength, Erica Kirk addressed the nation in the wake of the political assassination of her husband, and given the outpouring of love for her family, for God, and the subsequent rejection of the lawless left, Erica says the leftists may have finally pushed us Americans too far.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. My husband's mission will not end, not even for a moment.
The great Ronald Reagan was clear-eyed about the enemy of mankind that you and I are confronted with today. Here's what the Gipper said of our enemy, collectivist totalitarians.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
That leads us back to AI, which shows it can be used for good as well as for evil. Over the weekend, a young lady asked AI what Charlie Kirk would say if he could speak to America from heaven. And I'm not going to pretend to know how this all works, but it seems AI scoured the net from Charlie Kirk's speeches, writings, and his shows. And this is what it came up with.
First, I want you to know I'm fine, not because my body is fine, but because my soul is secure in Christ. Death is not the end. It's a promotion. Don't waste 1 second mourning me. I knew the risks of standing up in this cultural moment, and I'd do it all over again. Second, do not let this violence divide us further. The enemy wants chaos, fear, and retaliation. Don't give it to them. Instead, double down on truth. Double down on courage. Double down on your faith and on your families. That is how you honor me. Third, remember this. America is worth it. Free speech is worth it. Fighting for the unborn, for families, for sanity in a culture gone mad, it is all worth it. So dry your tears, pick up your cross, and get back in the fight. Do it with joy, do it with strength, and never ever let evil think it won.
Americans can't lower ourselves to be just like the left, because if we did, what would be the point? But we can make sure us and ours are protected from the violent left. We can make sure that if these leftists come looking for trouble, that they find it. And we should make sure that they find more trouble than they can handle. That way, they won't go looking for trouble anymore. It's a little thing we grown-ups call consequences. The America Last crowd in the GOP has proven we can't turn to them for answers. So it's up to Trump, the America First coalition, and we, the people, to get this done.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.